What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we are doing the Week 3 update of the Spyderco Native 5 Lightweight, the Salt version. I've been testing this for 3 weeks now, consecutively. We are almost at the end of the testing. At the end of April, we will be done with this knife, and every week I do an update to let you guys know how testing is going and stuff. It's just something unique that I like to do on the channel to basically be as in-depth with my testing as possible and give you guys all of the updates as I go, because I feel like if I just did it at the end of the month, I might forget things. So, yeah, we're on week 3 with this knife, and I fall more in love with this knife every single day, guys. Like, this has blown my mind. I'm obsessed. I am obsessed with the Native 5 Lightweight. I am obsessed with this steel. I am obsessed with everything about this. Like, I never would have thought that I would be just head over heels in love with this knife, and I am. So, testing has been going fantastic. There's nothing that this can't do. I use my knives all day, every day, approximately 8 hours straight at work, plus home life. My knife is my best friend. My knife is just a part of me. I use them all day long, and this thing is incredible. So when I first started testing this, I was a little nervous. I've had a Native before. It was an S110V Native with the like blurple scales. They were G10. I freaking hated that thing. It was just more stiff than this, and I didn't like the weight on it, and I just didn't like it in general, so I ended up selling it. And when I recently tested the Delica on the channel, I liked this a lot, but I just wasn't a fan of the back lock, and that was just a little rough for me, I guess. I never got this to a point where I could kind of like not drop shut, but I just never got to a point with this knife where everything became like muscle memory, I guess. It was just a little harder for me with this one for some reason to work with it. My Delica is just a little more stiff. I've messed around with the pivot. I've cleaned it. I've done everything I could do. And when I was testing this for a month, I just, the one downfall of this was the backlock. I noticed it. I noticed the difference in using this backlock in comparison to an axis lock, a compression lock, a frame lock, a liner lock. You know what I'm saying? Like that. In my review, I just really didn't like that. Probably as much as you guys don't like that I enjoy carrying this knife tip down. It was just tough for me. So when I was going into the testing with the Native, right off the bat, I was nervous of testing a backlock again because I'm just not the biggest fan of them, and I've been testing backlocks for like months now with no break, really. Like I tested the Delica, and then I tested the Lanny's clip, which it was also a backlock, and I just haven't had any like modern locking mechanisms in months, and I'm like really starting to crave them. I miss them. However, with the Native, I kind of forgot that this was even a backlock. It's so smooth. Like this one in particular is very easy to open and close for me. It's quick and easy, and I kind of forgot that it was a backlock because it's so smooth. Like it does drop. So I never got to that point with the Delica. It just won't do it as easily. But this, it came to me very smooth, really easy to open and close. So I think that has been a huge plus for me in liking this knife so much, is the fact that I'm not constantly reminded through my testing that this is kind of an old, outdated locking mechanism. And the best part about that is, because I am not reminded of that, the only thing that I am reminded of is how strong this knife is, because a back lock is a very strong lock, guys. It's a very, very strong locking mechanism, and you know, it's kind of like a give and take. You get a really strong lock that hopefully won't fail on you, but it's a little less modern in terms of, deployment and closing the knife. So I'm getting the best of both worlds. I'm not constantly reminded about it, and I get a lot of strength. The Ergonomics, guys, holy smokes. This is one of the most ergonomic knives I have ever used. And like I said, I'm using my knives all day, every day. And, oh my gosh, being able to choke up on this knife, that jimping that you have in there, you just lock into it. I'm in love. I'm absolutely in love with the ergonomics. I really thought it was going to be kind of like, I mean, it is a little bit of a rectangular shape, and I really thought that maybe these corners were going to bug me. Not at all. Still loving this Lynch Northwest deep carry clip on there. Everything about it, guys, is a home run. I can't see anything going wrong in the next week. You never know, but this is absolutely in my top 5 knives right now. 100%. And let's just talk about the steel now. LC200N, slept on. Oh my god, this steel is the best. I can't even believe it. I've only sharpened this one time and stropped it twice. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. It's stupid. I don't even understand. I don't understand how it's this good. I made a full sharpening video on this knife. It should be a few videos back on the channel. I did a full sharpening. I removed the factory edge, and it was not necessary. The knife didn't need that sharpening, but I was actually getting nervous because I was halfway through testing this. It didn't need a new edge yet, and I was nervous that if I were to wait longer, I would end up just going through the whole month of testing without sharpening this, because it probably could have done that. But that does not help the testing purposes. If we don't know what happens when you sharpen the knife, that's a huge chunk of information that we're missing from our final results. So I, took one for the team and sharpened it, even though it didn't need to be sharpened, just to see what was underneath that factory edge, if there was a hidden gem, or if it, it might have not changed anything at all performance-wise. But for this knife, for this steel, it definitely changed the game. I could instantly feel a difference between the factory edge that this came with and then the fresh edge that I put on it. If you're curious about that whole progression, you can just go watch that sharpening video. I used some traditional Nanawa stones, some water stones, and the edge was fabulous from the factory. It was literally like a dream come true with the new edge that I put on. I only worked up to, oh boy, I think I used a 1000 grit water stone, and then I just stropped it with some white compound. I believe that's the only thing I did. It's on the video. I did that a couple weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure that's all I did. And the edge was just like even more crisp than before. It came with a little bit of like a rigid edge from the factory. Like the actual bevel was just a little like wavy, and it was very toothy, and it was extremely sharp, but the pattern of the edge was just a little rough, I guess. And I'm not sure if I would have noticed it affecting the cutting performance if I had not sharpened it. If I had gone through the whole month without sharpening this with the factory edge, I'm sure I wouldn't have noticed anything, but with my own edge that I ended up like kind of polishing during that video, even better than the factory edge. It was just smoother, silkier going through material. It still had a great amount of bite, but I could tell that the edge being a little like cleaner without that resistance from the poor grind, it just made it 10 times better. So with that 1000 grit edge and the white compound kind of polishing that edge up, cleaning it up, and getting it a little more refined, this thing is a freaking laser beam. Like, I can't emphasize how incredible this edge is, and it's still going strong. Like, it's still sharp and still has a working edge, and I use it all day, every day. So this LC200N steel, guys, unbelievable. I cannot recommend it enough so far. I don't see anything going wrong with it moving forward. I really don't. I can say, though, this is a stainless steel. It is very, you can compare it to MagnaCut and like Vanex in terms of stainless capabilities. However, the tiniest speck of rusting in the world did happen on the inside in here. You're not going to be able to see it because this front-facing camera is pretty poor quality. But when I took this apart the second time to clean the blade and just like clean it up a little bit, just like the tiniest amount of rust is on the inside. I use my knives in a pretty wet environment, sometimes at work. There's just a lot of produce and juices and stuff. I've mentioned that before. And just the tiniest little minuscule amount that is like barely even noticeable was on the inside on one of the kind of like more unfinished parts of the knife. But aside from that, it is absolutely stainless. And I think that was just some juice or some water that got in there that I left in there. And it just tainted an unfinished area a little bit. But like I said, aside from that, this is 100% stainless. This steel is one of my favorites at this point. I'm obsessed with LC200N for work. I'm absolutely obsessed. So, yeah, very, very enthusiastic about this knife. I'm going to be so sad to put it away for a little bit when the testing is over. I've got other knives to use. But yeah, in terms of like ergonomics and backlock and stuff, I definitely enjoy this much more than the Delica. Like I like the Delica. It's a fantastic lightweight knife. They're kind of in the same category in terms of like FRN, bi-directional, textured, lightweight knives. They're very similar, just like super different blade shapes, obviously. But the Native is miles ahead of the Delica for me. I just love this way more. I think you have way more capability with the blade shape. I think the handle ergonomics just fill your hand better. I seriously think that even just this choil in general blows this whole thing out of the water. You don't get that on the Delica. You don't get that finger choil. You get a really nice ramp right here, which I do enjoy. That is like super comfy right there. But you cannot choke up on this in any way at all. There's just nothing there for you. That might not matter to some people, but for me, being able to hold the knife like this, I do that very often, and I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. If you can check one out, I definitely suggest it. Like I said, we got one more week of testing left, so this is not the review. This is just an update. But, we're 3/4 of the way through, and my opinion hasn't changed. And I'm not really too sure what else could go wrong at this point. Like, it's kind of a trooper. It has made it past the halfway mark. So, yeah, guys, obsessed with the design, obsessed with the steel, just obsessed. So that's the update on the Spyderco Native 5 Lightweight Salt. We will have the final review next weekend. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for all of the support. Go use your shit, and I will see you on the next video. I love you all.